I'll start Tanya when you start
I enjoy your company.
again.
I enjoy your company here.
Welcome, folks.
Huh?
As we prepare for Tisha B'Av, we prepare for Mashiach. That's the way to prepare for Tisha B'Av, right? Some of us just downright don't want to fast. Some of us downright don't want to be in exile. And we're looking for the final redemption. And godliness should be the only reality, the only truth, and what we are able to perceive, not just in our mind's eye, because that's what we learn in Tanya. In our mind's eye, the reality of creation, the reality of us, the reality of everything. But to have the physical eye to perceive it, it's just as Mount Sinai, we had that for a brief time. We're now working to make it a permanent reality. In Eid Milvadei, nothing else but Hashem. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We are in the first letter. We are in the first letter of Igeres HaKodesh, of the holy letters of the Alter Rebbe. We spoke yesterday about that she girds her loins with strength. So we explained that the metaphor in this is the loins are what holds up the individual. What holds us up? Faith. I have a perfect proof for that. Some people went to sleep hungry. Some people went to sleep physically hungry. Some went spiritually hungry. Some went emotionally deprived, psychologically failing. And guess what? You went to sleep thinking that tomorrow is going to be a better day. You had hope. Why would you have hope? Where does hope come from? It's irrational to have hope. It's a matter of faith. It comes from the neshama, that we have a soul. If you're a soulless person, then you probably don't have faith. Animals don't have faith, but humans do. So we have faith. What is our faith? So our faith is that God is, He is all-encompassing and present at the same time, which is a contradiction in terms. Either you're beyond or you're present from within. But that's our faith, that God is both. We don't have an experience in what that means. Because either you're present or you're aloof. If you're aloof, you're not present. And if you're present, you're not aloof. And God's both. Right? So that's an article of faith as a result. Now, we can explain why that has to be, but that's not the point here. It's an article of faith. And that's the loins that holds up. What does it hold up? Holds up the body. Holds up the head, meaning that we can use our heads in an appropriate way. In other words, without faith, using your rationale and logic of your mind, you will never come to anything good. I should say never come to anything good. Eventually, you will not come to anything good. And that's exactly what the Nazis were. Very rational, logical. Eugenics is a very rational, logical thing to have a pure race. It's evil, only based on faith. But otherwise, makes sense. Why not? But we have faith that, that a person created in the image of God, therefore, should be treated as the image of God, and therefore eugenics and whatever else rationality is to create a perfect race is an evil thing. But that, again, that's all based on the faith of God. And now the question is, what's feeding your loins? What's feeding your faith? We've got to feed our faith. How? Even though faith is something that's beyond. So what gives the power and the strength of the loins to the faith that it should support the head appropriately? And not just the head, but also the head supports the arms, which are the emotions, chesed and gvura, love and awe. What is it? So the Alter Rebbe says that you involve yourself in the study of the oral Torah, specifically the oral Torah. Why the oral Torah? Because the oral Torah gives us an understanding of the will of God. Ratzon Elyon. It manifests the will of God. The Torah tells us that we should put on tefillin, but it doesn't tell us how tefillin are made or how tefillin should be put on. Torah tells us to keep Shabbos, but it doesn't tell us clearly in the written word, in the 5 books of Moses, how to observe Shabbos. But for that matter, any mitzvah is not clearly delineated. Some might be a little more, but some are completely hidden. They're completely hidden, like tefillin, like Shabbos. So where do we get the understanding of the observance? How to is through the oral tradition, the oral Torah. Now, Torah it unfolds from Chachma, from divine wisdom, but it unfolds from there. It's not merely divine wisdom. It's much greater than divine wisdom. It's the will of God himself. And that will is one with God. And the will, metaphorically, is like the crown that a person wears. Right? Intelligence, Chachma, is in the brain. Something greater than the brain is the crown that a person wears that's beyond the person. The will of the individual. The crown of God. Huh?
Before Chachma bin Das, there's another
Ratzin, will, crown, Kesser, like the crown that's placed on the head. That's exactly what I just gave the metaphor. The crown.
shows Kesser.
Yeah, right. And this is what it says: a woman of valor is the crown of her husband. So who's this woman? This woman is the oral Torah. The husband is the written Torah. The woman is the oral Torah. So when we learn the oral Torah, when we study the laws of the Torah, further, our sages say that we get life in the world to come. Because studying the oral Torah, what are we doing? We're strengthening our loins. We're strengthening our faith. Right? And to strengthen your loins, there's only one thing that's strong in this world, and that's Torah. That's the only thing that's strong. So it gives the power and the strength to the loins, to the faith of the soul that we need to gird ourselves with. And then when you give that strength to your loins, to your faith, then what does it do? When you strengthen your loins, it strengthens the rest of, holding up the rest of your body, which means your head, of course, right? Which means our understanding of God, knowing God, right? And that will lead to, from here, then it'll come down into the heart, to the arms, and it will express itself in love and awe of God. Each person according to what they're capable, right? Everybody has a measure of what they can understand and what that can lead them to actually have an awe and love of God. Now, so the whole point over here is that the faith should bring us to an awareness of God that brings us to a love and awe of God, right?
Study meditation. Meditation is governing.
So when is going to be a good time to girding the loins in order to arouse that love and awe of God? That you can meditate upon God, that you can create a love and awe of God. That will be time of prayer. Yeah. In other words, when there's it's multifaceted over here. If I hope we're in the lose over here. To strengthen your loins, you need to study the oral tradition, because Torah is strength, and that gives strength to our faith. Okay. You see that when you learn Torah, it just gives you stronger faith. No doubt about it. Strengthening the loins now that your faith is intact, then strengthens the rest of the body, which ultimately the body means the head, that we have an awareness of God that leads us to a love and awe of God. Is that clear? That's the desire, that we should have some kind of feeling towards God. So when are you going to have the awareness of God that will lead to the feelings towards God? Will be when you contemplate about God before your prayers, and then in prayers itself, when you contemplate about God, right? So it's going to be, and that will then bring a fortification to the arms, the spiritual emotions, right? And the head, the intellect, and in the morning prayers in particular. Why the morning prayers? Because that's a time of compassion above. When the God's supreme will is revealed and his compassion is revealed, right? So this is what I ask of those who want to seek to draw themselves close to God, that they should understand and contemplate and have a constant reminder between their eyes, right? Meaning the awareness of God that leads to through a contemplation and meditation about God, that will lead a person that during prayers that you could touch your deeper heart. And day after day, if you seek God in such a way to cleave to him with all of your heart and with all of your soul, right, that you then pour out your soul like water, as being a mitzvah, a nefesh, to exert yourself, that you really bring out in through exerting yourself in prayer to really to connect to Hashem with outpouring of love for Hashem. Ooh, tall order.
Especially when they're put in tefillin.
Yeah, but it does. I don't think it means that tefillin specifically. I think it means between your eyes, that it's like it's carved in your mind, so to speak. That it now that you know that in your prayers, that is going to bring you to a devout concentration, devotion, that you will pour out with a love towards Hashem in your prayers. That's what it means. Very powerful. I
Need that.
All right, I don't see any questions. Rambam is coming up. I want to thank everybody that joined yesterday for the Torah Vigil for Israel. First of all, the learning that everybody did is amazing. That's so important. during the 9 days in particular, as the learning will help to transform the pain and sorrow in the morning of these days into days of joy. You know, and collectively doing that, what we've done on high is amazing. Amazing. And thank you. Some people just spontaneously yesterday gave towards the effort. Thank you for those that did that. All right. Rambam. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zircha Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the time. You have an amazing day. Thank you.